For the first time, possibly in history, women are admitting they want daughters, not sons.
Oh, don't worry. This is certainly going somewhere.
Having a son is seen as an extreme burden to women around the world.
Burdens? Really? And how is raising a son different than raising a daughter?
You are expected to birth them, educate them, and shield them from conditioning from other boys. All this without acknowledgement.
Oh, so some women want acknowledgement for being a good parent? You would think that just being a good parent would be reward enough in itself.
In fact, that very same son may grow up to take his mother's rights away.
Oh yes, there are a lot of individuals out there that will try to convince some women that they need to be fearful of their own children in the future. But may I be very specific? It's only the boys that they're talking about. They would never mention the girls.
Women globally are reaching a line of contention, refusing to give birth to life that may become a weapon against them, against other women. This is why movements like 4B exist.
Oh, because of ignorance, fear, and bigotry? Got it.
Women are refusing to birth their own oppressors.
See what I mean?
They are liberating themselves from a life of suffering. Sons are no longer the standard. Daughters are.
I wonder how long it's going to be before boy moms start being harassed for having boys. Oh, wait. In case some of you didn't notice, that's already happening.
One second, feminism is demonizing men for objectifying women, and in the next, it's encouraging girls to sell their body on so that men can objectify them. I mean, which is it? Are you empowered or are you a victim of oppression? I used to consider myself a feminist until I realized that women were using it as a means to justify going out like this and then complaining about being called hot. Shorty, have you seen your own ass? I swear to God, women are the only ones that can spend 2 hours doing their makeup and picking out an outfit and then still say they don't want to be judged on their appearance. Girl, you literally pulled up your leggings to your third rib and gave yourself the ultimate wedgie. We know you didn't dress like this for you. When you look at the actual definition of feminism, all it is supporting women having access to equal rights. I'm not gonna sit here and call myself an anti-feminist as someone who agrees with the core definition of feminism. But the problem is that the word has evolved to mean something very different. It's not just about women's rights anymore, there are other ideological strings attached. A major concept of modern feminism has been encouraging liberation. This was started partly due to the double standard around sexuality for men and women. When a man frequently engages in casual sex, he's considered a stud, but when a girl does it, she's considered a slut. Sexual promiscuity leads to less satisfaction in relationships for both genders. Just because it's more socially acceptable for a guy to have casual doesn't mean women should be trying to match that expectation by normalizing it. Two wrongs don't make a right, and promoting a destructive behavior under the marketable guise of sexual liberation is abhorrent. It's so interesting how women constantly complain about how shallow and objectifying their relationships with men are, but then promote hookup culture, which directly encourages this exact transactional process. If feminism actually cared about women as much as it claims to, the movement would be encouraging them to be more selective about their partners. It would be educating them about the negative effects of casual sex, since we know that it leads to decreased relationship satisfaction, loneliness, and depression. And look, I know people are going to take this as me trying to tell women how to live. That's not what I'm doing at all. You have all the freedom in the world to live exactly how you please. However, where I do have an issue is when a cultural movement is built on a foundation.
Before we dive in, drop a comment. Are modern men more delusional, or is it the ladies? Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what we expose next. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud anymore. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. That used to be common sense. Now it's considered offensive. We've replaced discipline with impulse and wisdom with vibes. If it feels good in the moment, we're told it must be right, even when the long-term consequences are obvious, predictable, and destructive. In any healthy society, people are taught early on that restraint matters, that not every urge deserves applause, that short-term pleasure often comes with long-term costs. But modern culture flipped that logic upside down. Now, self-control is framed as repression, accountability is labeled judgment, and anyone who dares to say, hey, this might not be good for you, gets instantly branded with some moral insult. And notice how convenient that is. If every choice is automatically valid, then no one ever has to take responsibility. Bad habits don't need fixing. Poor decisions don't need reflection. Patterns of self-sabotage don't need to be questioned. You just slap a label on criticism, shut down the conversation, and keep spiraling with applause. This is how dysfunction becomes normalized. When a culture rewards indulgence and punishes correction, self-destruction doesn't just happen. It becomes the standard. People aren't encouraged to grow. They're encouraged to cope, not to build, but to consume, not to mature, but to externalize blame. And here's the part that really matters. A society that treats all behavior as equally acceptable eventually loses the ability to tell the difference between freedom and decay. That's not empowerment. That's negligence dressed up as compassion.
Entire movement, an entire ideology who claims its very goal is to benefit women, then encourage behavior that actually benefits women. At one point, this movement had genuinely pure intentions. It's the reason I have a right to vote and work and be educated. Feminism changed our lives as women for the better. So I'm sorry, but I can't help but feel like now it's doing the complete opposite. It's a common feminist position to be anti-tradwife. They insist that tradwives have some sort of Stockholm syndrome where they've fallen in love with their own oppression, claiming that it perpetuates traditional gender roles which have held women back. But I thought what actual feminism was supposed to be about was supporting women's freedom of choice. That means supporting them if they choose to climb the corporate ladder and supporting them if they choose to be a housewife. I thought the whole point of feminism was to respect a woman's freedom of choice, even if it's not the choice we would personally make. It was to recognize that there's not a one-size-fits-all lifestyle for women and that they should be able to prioritize what's important to them. Feminism will argue against this by saying that choices don't exist in a vacuum and society impacts your ability to make autonomous decisions, but you can make that exact same argument on the other side too. I could sit here and tell you that your decision to be a feminist is because social media has brainwashed you into believing that women are oppressed. So your choice to be a feminist isn't a real choice at all, but instead a reaction to your cultural environment. You can run in circles forever trying to make this argument against either side. That's because it's a dumb argument. Women against except in today's terms it means wet. Modern feminism currently preaching liberation. It may be surprising to learn that at one point it was the complete opposite. In the 1970s, was a growing part of feminism. And when you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense because it's consistent with the core values of feminism to demonize the objectification of women and stop the fetishization of violence against them.
As a man, what a blessing it is for people to find you as a resource and decide to come to you and ask you for something because they feel like you are equipped to get it done. That's the mindset y'all need to have for 2026, men. How grateful is it that someone finds you and holds you in such high regard that they know that you are the
Pay close attention here, because this is a pattern a lot of men miss until it's already cost them time, money, and peace of mind. The tactics have changed. The insults didn't work anymore. Shaming you, calling you broke, insecure, or not a real man stopped producing results. So now the strategy is softer, more flattering, more spiritual, more manipulative. Instead of disrespect, it's reframed as purpose. Instead of pressure, it's framed as a privilege. Suddenly, you're told it's a blessing to be chosen, a gift to be allowed to provide, a sign of your masculinity, generosity, or divine role to give up your resources with no questions asked. Same goal, different packaging, but the rule hasn't changed. If someone only shows up when they need something, they're not building with you. They're extracting from you. That's not partnership. That's utility. You're not valued for who you are, but for what you can supply. Money, access, stability, attention, emotional labor. And this is where a lot of good-hearted men get trapped. Because yes, helping people in genuine need is a good thing. That's called character. But there's a massive difference between helping someone who's struggling and funding someone who's strategizing. One is compassion. The other is exploitation. Watch the consistency. Watch the reciprocity. Watch whether there's effort, accountability, or gratitude, or just expectations. Because people who are scheming don't see you as a human being. They see you as a shortcut, a resource node, a means to an easier life. And here's the hard truth. Being kind doesn't require being naive. Boundaries are not cruelty. Discernment is not selfishness. The moment you confuse generosity with obligation is the moment someone else decides to live at your expense.
If they start the video off with "as a man," just know they're about to say some bull. Notice how she said what a blessing it is for people to come to you for your resources. So the resources that you work hard for, you should be thankful that people are coming to you trying to take it from you. Men, what y'all need to take into 2026 is stop giving away your resources to people that don't deserve it. Stop giving your resources away to these dry beggars that come online that just want to use you because they don't have it for themselves.
Oh no, I'm devastated.
Sean Oakman, Johnny Depp, Jonathan Majors, The Inquisitor, Ty Leo. There are many different examples of men that get falsely accused, and even after the fact that they prove their innocence, their image is still up till this day. You know what I'm saying? How many movies did Johnny Depp get ripped from him because of that whole Amber Heard situation? No bull. Even after that situation, Amber Heard still got the Aquaman. She still had movies. You know what I'm saying? She should be in jail for the false accusation she put against this man. No bull. You know what I'm saying? Even Jonathan Majors, he had a whole Marvel deal. He was supposed to be the big bad, the new big bad. He was supposed to be Kang the Conqueror. And because of that whole ordeal that happened with him, what's he in now? And I'm not saying that he's not in major projects, but they're not to that extent anymore because of that situation. There are many different examples. Even after the fact Talil proving his innocence, it's still women out here that still are like, I don't believe him. It's like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. That's why I say to all my brothers, you gotta make sure you're careful about who you're laying down with. No bullshit, because a woman, a scorned woman, she can up your whole life. No, especially if you got some lose. You know what I'm saying?
Please tell me you guys saw the video of the girl who was super pissed because she went with her boyfriend to his family's house for Christmas and everybody got extravagant gifts except for her. I was cringing the entire video because hear me out. She goes with her boyfriend to his family's house for Christmas. Everybody's getting extravagant gifts. They get to her. She gets some muck slippers and a gas card. I could get how that could maybe kill your vibe. I can see it, but here's where she loses me. She's like, I need to go for a walk. I need to go for a walk. So she goes for a walk to calm herself down. Ma'am, it is not that deep. It is not that deep. You still got something for free. You still got it for free. Why are you mad? She goes for a walk. She calls her mom. She's complaining to her mom about the situation. And then she goes, well, what did you get me for Christmas? What is wrong with you? What the is wrong with you? And the whole time she's telling this story, you can hear her boyfriend like walking around the house doing stuff, and you're sitting there on his family, ungrateful for your muckluck slippers and your gas card. What did you get for them? Not once does she mention what she did for them. So it sounds to me like you probably don't do much, so they didn't return the favor, you weird freak.
We do need men though. We do.
We don't need them because
do.
No, because they're lesbians.
Who do you call to get your car fixed? A man or a woman? Your toilet breaks down. Who do you call? Your power supply. Who runs it? Who runs the infrastructure of society? Men or women?
Oh, at the moment, men. Obviously,
yeah.
so
you agree that men run the infrastructure. So therefore,
at the moment, men run the world.
We need men.
Yeah. On a wider scale, yes. On a wider scale. On a personal scale, no. Because you don't need a man to provide for you.
Right,
we can earn our own wage.
But we need men to run the industries that keep us alive and well.
Not necessarily, no. So, because I know female mechanics, engineers, carpenters.
But remember that's exception. Like those industries are like 99% male.
Yeah, but for now.
Right.
For now. And we can change that. We can. With feminism.
But do we?
This is where the narrative completely collapses under its own weight. You can't seriously claim oppression while simultaneously benefiting from institutional incentives designed to favor you. Financial support programs, special workplace accommodations, hiring mandates, policy-backed advantages. At some point, words stop meaning anything. Oppression doesn't come with perks. It doesn't come with subsidies, protected lanes, or enforced representation. Real oppression looks like limited choice, real risk, and zero leverage, not preference wrapped in victim language. When someone is consistently shielded from consequences and elevated by policy, calling that oppression isn't just inaccurate, it's disconnected from reality. And that disconnect is the key issue here. When people grow up in systems that cushion every fall and validate every grievance, they lose perspective. Discomfort gets mislabeled as injustice. Accountability gets reframed as persecution. Any standard they don't meet is suddenly unfair. That's not strength. That's fragility disguised as moral authority. Now contrast that with actual hardship. There are places in the world where speaking out gets you imprisoned, where basic freedoms don't exist, where survival isn't a debate topic. It's a daily calculation. Those environments, there's no institutional safety net waiting to catch you. No one is rearranging systems to make life more comfortable. You either adapt, endure, or you don't make it. That's why this rhetoric sounds so detached. It's born not from suffering, but from comfort without context. From being so insulated that inconvenience feels like oppression. And when a culture encourages that mindset, it creates people who are loud, entitled, and completely unprepared for real adversity. Hard truth, victimhood loses credibility when it's paired with privilege. And the more that contradiction is ignored, the more obvious it becomes to everyone watching from the outside.
It's beautiful, just like you. Oh, was that? Alright, sorry.
What did he do wrong? The bird test, the leaf test, the olive theory, this theory, that theory. Social media has fried our brains. Social media has convinced young people that if their partner doesn't give an arbitrarily determined, hyper-specific answer to a random test that they saw on social media, that they're not compatible. And the comments are killing me. Oh my god, what did the guy do wrong? What did he do wrong? Now, I don't want to generalize their whole relationship based on one clip. I hope they're happy, you know, and I'll assume they are. But if I was that young man, I would not be happy in that moment. What did he possibly say that warranted such a sigh, such disappointment? You know, I don't understand how we can win at this thing. Do yourself and your relationship the biggest favor and stop letting these online exams and theories and tests determine how you see your partner. There's no psychology behind it.
Today, my daughter learned 2 very important lessons about life. Number 1, don't use your money when you can use a man's. And number 2, men be lying, okay, constantly. Let me tell you what happened. She got a slip home from school today that said she needed $10 for a field trip. I said, cool, I got $10. But then I thought, you know what? Now would be the perfect opportunity to teach her. You don't have to pay for nothing when you have men in your life, right? So I said, we're going to call all the boys. We're calling uncle, we're calling both grandpas, and we're calling your dad, all right? So we start with papas, because papas, they're the easiest ones, right? Start them slow, guaranteed results. First papa, she doesn't quite know that you can't just ask for money on the hello, right? So as soon as he answers, she goes, hi papa, I need money. Luckily, this is the papa, he really don't get, you know? He said, how much you need? She said $10. She said cent. She sees that it pops up in my text thread. She says, thanks, Papa. Okay, next. Click. He texts me, he said, did she say next? I said, yeah, she did. So I have to teach you to be a little bit more subtle. So I say, when this Papa answers, ask about his day, then ask for money. So she does. He answers. She says, hi, Papa, how was your day? He says, my day was good, sugar. How was yours? She said, my day was good. I need money. She did ask about his day, all right? We're working on it. He says, okay, how much you need? She said, I need $10. She said, what's this for? She said, a field trip. He said, what do you need to buy? Now, at this point, I'm realizing it's too many questions happening. I'm going to have to talk to him about that. But he does send the money. She opens a text thread. She said, did you send it yet? He said, no. How do you want me to send it? She said, Apple Pay. So he does send it. She sends him a cute little voice message and says, Papa, you're the best. And she gets her money. Now she's excited. She's like, oh, I only need 10. Now I got 20. Let's keep going. She calls her dad. Her dad answers and gives her a whole lecture about how she shouldn't be asking for money. I don't like that, right? Not only that, her dad says he's going to send it at the end of the call after this long lecture, and he never sends it, right? She checking, he don't send it. She said, I call him back and said, no, we don't ask twice for money. You never ask twice, right? So she said, okay, uncle. Call uncle. He answers. She says, hi, uncle. How was your day? Great. My day was good, too. Can I ask you something? Can I have some money? Perfect. Perfect. He says, of course. How much you need? She says, $10. He said, how you want me to send it? She says, Apple Pay. Sends it right on the spot. Not only that, she learned how to request it. So all he had to do was press accept. I said, my girl's learning. She's a quick study. Okay. He sends the money. Now at this point, she got $30. She's hyped. Real hype. She said, but wait, my dad didn't send me nothing yet. I said, let me look. I checked. I said, you're right. He didn't send nothing. She said, he lied. I said, did he? She said, yeah, I don't like that because he said he was going to send money and he didn't send the money. Should I call him back? I said, no, remember, we don't ask twice for nothing. Okay. She said, well, I'm going to have to tell him about lying because we don't lie. Period, Gray. Period. We don't lie. She said, I really don't like that because that's my dad. How he can't send me $10? Right. How he can't send me $10? She said, he got $10, right? I said, and he do. And he do. She said, men be lying.
This situation exposes something a lot of people refuse to confront. The difference between compassion and compliance. The father didn't refuse to give her money out of cruelty. He refused because he had pattern recognition. He'd already lived through this behavior once before. He knew the signs. He knew the script. And more importantly, he knew the truth. She didn't actually need the money. What she was repeating wasn't desperation. It was entitlement. The same dishonest framing he experienced with the mother. Inflate need, blur facts, apply emotional pressure, and assume the man will fold out of obligation. That strategy works when men are conditioned to equate cooperation with virtue and resistance with wrongdoing. And look at the double standard. According to that mindset, lying about need is acceptable if it gets the desired outcome. Misrepresenting reality becomes justified as long as the target is a man with resources. But the moment he says no, calmly, rationally, without aggression, he becomes the villain. Suddenly, he's unsupportive, cold, or failing his duty. That's not morality. That's manipulation protected by entitlement. What makes this even clearer is that the father is the only one in the situation grounded in reality. He's not reacting emotionally. He's responding based on evidence, history, and boundaries. And that's exactly why his refusal is treated as unacceptable, because it breaks the expectation that men exist to comply, not to discern. Here's the larger issue. When a culture teaches people that access to someone else's resources is a right rather than a privilege, honesty becomes optional and accountability disappears. And any man who refuses to play along is framed as the problem. But the truth is simple. A refusal to be exploited is not abuse. Saying no to an entitled request isn't wrongdoing, it's self-respect. And the fact that this has to be explained tells you just how upside down the expectations have become.
The most unrealistic, actually, in the last 5 or 6 years have been breadwinner working women who come in and say, I'm done. I cannot do this anymore. He is an albatross around my neck. I am still making all of the pediatrician appointments, hiring the nannies, arranging the play dates, making school lunches, and I'm working. And he's on the couch in his boxers all day, like working on the great American novel. He hasn't done anything. We were both superstars in grad school, and I can't believe this is happening. Get me divorced. And then I said, okay, let's see what that would look like. He's still going to have the kids half the time. He is probably still going to need a nanny, so you're going to still be paying for that. You're probably still going to be arranging everything because that's how you are. You want to do it because you do it better, you think. And you're going to give him half of everything you have. You are going to give him half of your pension, and you're going to be probably paying him spousal and child support. And they are like, wait, what? I'm the woman. And I'm like, I know, but that kind of doesn't matter. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And here's the irony. Nobody wants to acknowledge. Welcome to the club, ladies. Men have been calling out these laws for years. Long before this conversation suddenly became fashionable, men were pointing out that while the laws were written as gender neutral, they were anything but neutral in practice. Historically, men were the primary breadwinners. That reality meant outcomes consistently leaned one way: alimony awards, child support obligations, long-term financial burden. Not because every case was identical, but because the system operated on assumptions that quietly favored one side while extracting from the other. And when men raised concerns, they were told to man up, stop complaining, and accept it as fair. What's fascinating is how fast the tune changes when the benefit structure shifts. The exact same laws that were once defended as just necessary and compassionate suddenly become problematic the moment they stop delivering unconditional upside. Nothing about the framework changed, only who it now affects. That's the pattern. Fairness is praised when it benefits you. Neutrality is questioned when it doesn't. And accountability is only embraced as long as it flows in one direction. The second the consequences cut both ways, the outrage appears. This isn't about celebrating anyone's loss. It's about exposing selective morality. If a system is unfair, it was unfair before it touched you. And if equality is the goal, it doesn't get paused the moment it becomes inconvenient. That's the broader lesson here. Principles that only apply when they benefit you aren't principles. They're preferences. If this breakdown hit home, you're going to want to watch what's coming next. I'll see you there.